Alright, we are live. Hello everyone, welcome to Megami Tensei 2, known as Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei 2 by its legal name, and this is the second game of the series as a whole. And I think we're basically good to start. Just waiting to confirm. Alright. I think we should be good to start. Should I count down? Should I count down? Guess I can count down. Akiyabo-san, 行きましょうか。
はい、OK です。
はい。3、2、1、スタート。Alright, let's put out the game. Okay, so this is Megami Tensei 2, which is a not completely related sequel to Megami Tensei 1. Both of these games were adapted from the original novels of origin that I'm not completely sure of at this point, I'll be honest. This game will feature 3 main characters, which is the ones that we are naming and assigning the points to at this point. Our main character, which will have the entire game, the heroine, and the friend, which will treat as we treat Megami Tensei friends. So first of all, as you can see, we start this game in a top-down view, which is very unusual. And for those that have played Megami Tensei 1, this dungeon might look a bit familiar, because you probably have spent a lot of time in this floor. And what's actually going on, just to spoil it for a bit, is that we are actually inside of a game called Devil Busters, which is an actual video game that the main character is playing, where you're supposed to just get through Daedalus Tower, which is the first dungeon in the first Megami Tensei game. And we are going to have to beat it just like you would in Megami Tensei 1. We're gonna get through it, we have to recruit 3 demons, a pixie, kobolds, if I recall correctly, I'll have to pull up my notes, and a carbuncle. The carbuncle will only get to recruit after we're done with the boss fight, which is the same boss fight as in Megami Tensei 1, that is, it's Minotaur. And so for now we're just trying to get to level 2, because the heroine will have Dormina when she reaches level 2, which is the strat that lets us even be able to defeat Minotaur in the first place. Minotaur is weak to sleep somehow. I know this is our Mega 10, so they didn't exactly prevent boss fights from being afflicted by status ailments, and so we'll just put him to sleep and just hack away at him until he dies. So while we go for the first dungeon, I guess I'll just explain the main mechanics of these old Mega 10 games, because I guess for most people who have never seen them and who aren't quite familiar with them, it's probably quite different from the Megami Tensei games we've seen so far in the Marathon, and they're coming up on Minotaur. So in this game we can have up to 4 demons summoned. We won't really have any because we only need the main guy for now, since we're going to put Minotaur to sleep. The game also has auto, which we'll use extensively throughout the run because it's by far the fastest way to get through fights. And we can abuse status ailments just like in this fight, whereas we put the enemy to sleep, or we freeze them, or we shock them, which is something that we'll use later into the run. So we'll use any type of ice spell or any type of electric spell which instantly shocks or freezes respectively the boss fight and prevents them from having a turn if we outspeed them. This way we can get through the game at a relatively low level. So this is Carbuncle, one of the demons that we have to get. The demons in this game, how the negotiation happens is that you have 4 actions. You can give them something, you can calm them down, you can persuade them, and then I think you can irritate them or like annoy them. And there is a set pattern that usually works for getting them to join instantly, but with some demons it's harder than others. But for the most part, this is definitely not one of the hardest games to get through negotiations, especially since we don't actually recruit all that many demons in this run. So now that we're done with Minotaur, we're basically done for the game, the game inside the game. So we're just gonna head to this other pillar and showcase the orb that we got from Minotaur to actually complete the game, and then the real Megami Tensei 2 starts. This is just a little reference to Megami Tensei 1. Alright, and now we show the orb that we got from Minotaur, and we see Pazuzu. Pazuzu was a very real demon who's telling us about what happened to the world. The world's gotten destroyed by an apocalypse, and it's ravaged by demons now, and us, or actual human self, is actually living in a shelter because it's too dangerous to go outside. And Pazuzu says that there's a witch in Tokyo Tower that needs to be destroyed for balance of the world to get restored or something. I'll be honest, I don't 100% remember what Pazuzu says, so if I say something wrong, just pretend I didn't. But anyways, we have to talk to Pazuzu, and now we're in the shelter. And this is what the game actually looks like. So this game is a first-person dungeon crawler. It might, for those that are used to it, will take a second for you to understand how the movement works, because in this game it redraws the next tile every time you move. It's not... When you see SMT1 later today, you'll see how much the first-person dungeon crawling has evolved. But yeah, this is how we're gonna move through every dungeon. And then there's the outside world, which is where we are right now. We're trying to get a harpy to go fight the next boss fight, which is one of the demons that has invaded the shelter. This is Harpy. In the actual world, we move as a 2D sprite in between the dungeons. Pazuzu is extremely trustworthy. I will never doubt Pazuzu. Now, as you can see, demons have entered the shelter, which is why we have to take care of this. You know what? I'm not gonna spell who we're gonna fight. We're gonna fight him in like 3 seconds. I'll just wait until we get there. Well, let's just say it's a demon that we fought a couple of times in SMT5 Vengeance yesterday. Now we're just healing. Just like in other games, you have... well, in this game, the heal spot is a specific place. And if I recall correctly, the heal spot is a specific place, and then when everyone's healed, it turns into the dimension where it can fuse. I think it's in this one. It's been a while since I've played this game. So I don't actually remember if it's the same place or if it's 2 different places. But yeah, we'll definitely be fusing demons later into the run, but right now we have to recruit a couple more demons in order to safely fight the upcoming boss fight. This game is still quite dangerous, we will be able to bypass some of the early on danger that because of the glitches that we'll be using, hence this being the glitches category. But later into the run will turn extremely dangerous. I guess in the meantime I can explain how stats work in this game. We have 5 different stats. Yeah, it's 5. Vitality, Wisdom, Attack, Agility, and Luck. Vitality and Attack influence your physical damage, just like your equipment. Wisdom influences your magic stat and your accuracy, also in your magic defense. Luck is the best stat. I think luck in this game basically just influences your turn order and your chance of escaping, same as agility. For most of the characters we put points into attack and agility because we need to be able to run away from fights, at least in the beginning part of the game. And for the heroine we put all her points into wisdom because we want her to be very strong in terms of magic. Okay, we do have the carbuncle, a harpy, and the cobalt now. I think we were just doing a slight moon cycle adjustment. Wouldn't be surprised if he's trying to fight the fight at full moon. I'm actually not familiar with how the moon affects or maybe rather not at full moon. I'm not familiar with how the moon affects the boss fights in this game. I've never looked into it. I've never actually run this game. I've watched some of the runs. I've watched Akiyabo-san run it a couple times, making a backup save, which is perfectly understandable. The next fight can definitely be a little unreliable at times. Right, just as usual, we're gonna go with the strategy of just putting all the demons on the front. You can reorder the party, and all the things that are like further up into the list means that they are ahead of you. That way they'll tank more hits to protect you. And now we're just going to attack. Oh, there you go. And that was Nebros. So that was Nebros. I guess I didn't even say that part. That was Nebros. He was the demon that was turning everyone into zombies in the dungeon, not in the dungeon, in the shelter, in causing havoc. And there you go. That was a very good fight. Only one demon died. I think that's pretty good. So now we can just go outside. Actually leave the Han of the shelter. So now we're going to go and get Orphus. I'm pretty sure we need Orphus to continue. At least in the glitch was spark, we need Orphus to continue. Orpheus is kind of like Cerberus in SMT1, where you get him early into the game and he's a really powerful demon compared to most demons that you can get, because I'm pretty sure he was level 25 or 27. But you will not get to have him for a long time. Ouch. Yeah, when we hit walls in this game, there's a little pop-up that says ouch. That's one of the things they removed in the remakes, Shin Megami Tensei 1 and 2. Big loss for all the ouch fans. So we did have to go back and talk to the girlfriend, which is why Dark Hero got Orpheus in the divorce. Exactly. We have to go back and talk to. I think it's the friend's girlfriend, because she gives us an item to be able to proceed. And now I think, are we actually just not gonna get Orpheus? Because if we don't, I'm actually quite surprised. I thought we got Orpheus. Well, you can't lose Orpheus if you never get him. Sometimes it's better to just protect your heart like that. So this little turtle thing from Avatar: The Last Airbender takes us across islands, and the girlfriend gave us an item that lets us. It's basically like a ticket for us to be able to go on his back and ride around. That is one of the items that will stop progression throughout the game. It's one of those that you have to keep fighting the boss fights and oh, now I got the next one. I can access this new area. But now we're just in an underground passage because we are trying to get to the Tokyo Tower. Because in Tokyo Tower is where the witch that Pazuzu told us about, so we are trying to get there. And now we have observed the first instance of the autopilot glitch, which is one of the glitches that makes this run glitched, and what I'll proceed to talk about now. So, basically how the autopilot works is that in any 3D dungeon, which is the ones that look like this, you know, the first-person dungeon crawler perspective, in any of those dungeons, you can set a location in any tile of the map that, as long as you're in the same dungeon, if you activate autopilot, the game will just take you back to that spot. So imagine you set it at the entrance, that way you can safely return back to the entrance and not have to actually you yourself navigate through the entire dungeon. That way, you know, if you get, like, you don't even have to worry about memorizing the map layout or drawing maps as you had to do in 1989. The game will just take you there, and you can set up to 2 locations, but most of the time akiyabo-san is only going to set 1. And what happens is he'll set a location, like he'll be standing in tile A, he'll go to tile C, which is 2 steps further ahead, and he'll set the tile C. Oh, there's Orpheus. Okay, we do get Orpheus. We're fighting. Oh no, we're talking to him. And there you go, we got Orpheus. Never mind, I'm the one that was kind of confused. I forgot where Orpheus was, but we get Orpheus. Okay, I just had to say that, put that as a little aside as I explained the autopilot glitch. So back to my explanation. We are at tile A, walk 2 steps forward to tile C. We set tile C as the autopilot location. Then we go back to tile A, and we activate autopilot. So we're just gonna walk to tile C. But on the way to tile C, so when you're in tile B, you cancel autopilot. And what happens in this game is that every time you cancel autopilot, it makes it so you can't get any more encounters anymore in that dungeon until you enter a new dungeon and you redo the trick. And this is how we're gonna be able to breeze through the game much faster than we did at the last SMT Marathon when akiyabo-san ran glitchless, because every time we're in a 3D dungeon, we are not gonna get encounters. And there we go, he did it again. It's just a bunch of menus and they're all in Japanese, so it's quite confusing when the autopilot glitch is being activated, but that's how it works. Here we're fighting Jabberwock, which is just the guardian of this underground passage to the Tokyo Tower. Pretty weak fight, especially now that we have Orpheus. So we'll just continue on. So now that I've explained the autopilot glitch, what actually makes this run dangerous at all? The 2D map encounters. There will be many 2D map encounters that are very dangerous, and especially the ones in the demon world, which is later into the run. This is where the demons that have level drain and all that come into play, which a lot of people are familiar with. So here we're in Tokyo Tower, and we're just gonna go and talk to the witch. And talking to the witch is needed to proceed with the game and to get the good ending, which is another thing that I'll explain since it's part of the category. When we talk to the witch, we have 3 options. We have to say, like, she asks us, I think, 5 or 6 questions. I don't exactly remember all of them, but they're related to us believing what Pazuzu said and if we think we're doing the right thing. And there's 3 courses of action that can be taken by her, I guess. She can not like your answers and kill you. She can not like your answers and disappear and you soft lock in the game. You have to restart. Or you say all the right things and she joins you. But your friend is like, wait, but we're going against what Pazuzu said. So he thinks that you're whack and leaves you and takes Orphers. But we don't care, because now we have Yumiko, and Yumiko has 20 points into Wisdom. So we'll be okay. So now we have Yumiko, and I have to remember if we grind here at all, honestly, I'm not sure. Or if we just go right ahead to the next location to get the water tally. Because now we are basically kind of stuck in this continent, so we're gonna need to get another one of those Avatar turtle tickets to get to the next continent. And we do that by talking to an old man in Shibuya. But right, first we have to head to Roppongi, because we need to buy a bunch of equipment. Because and get an aquamarine, I'm pretty sure. We still have to exchange that at the junk shop. I'll explain the junk shop since that's I don't remember which game they started getting rid of the rags, but I know they don't have an SMT5. Right now my only reference is SMT1 and SMT5, I kind of forget about everything that's in the middle. But yeah, we have to head to Roppongi and buy a bunch of armor, because we still have to fight boss fights even though we're avoiding most encounters, so we're less likely to die. We can still die to the boss fights, obviously, and we can absolutely still die to the overworld encounters. Alright, so here we have to scout or recruit a dwarf and an elf. And we have to grind for a bunch of money, so we might stay here for a while before we head to Roppongi. Okay, we're almost at the money that we need. There is unfortunately not a lot I can say about Tokyo Tower. Except the real Tokyo Tower, it's a... The Tokyo Tower is a real building in Tokyo, for all that don't know. And there isn't a witch there, I think. I've never been, so I can't confirm that. But I think there isn't. Can't believe they made Tokyo Tower into a real building after seeing it in digital level. Sorry, I know, right? As a big fan of the series, I'm really glad they did so. I think it's a really cool shout out to the influence of Megami Tensei to the world. So as you might have noticed, the encounter rate in this game is pretty high when we're actually getting encounters. So that will be a problem later. And I think it works kind of the same as in SMT1, where every time you are going through a door, the encounter rate is a little bit higher. So that's why a lot of times when you're grinding, you are just going back and forth in between the door transition, because basically every time you step through a door, you'll get an encounter. I wouldn't be surprised if we're getting some extra money as a precaution, because reliable sources have told me that money can be quite tight in this run. Which is understandable because you really don't get a lot of encounters compared to the average runs, that is. So any money that you can safely get, which will mostly be early on, since we're going to be skipping through a lot of dungeons, and the difficulty spikes very quickly after we go for the Ginza underground passage. This is probably one of the safest places to grind from, but now we're going back. Alright, now we go to Roppongi. Roppongi is everyone's favorite area. By the way, that was a Pegasus. Some of the demon designs in this game are very unique. You can tell that there wasn't already a set standard to what most Megami Tensei demons were supposed to look, so they were still innovating, and it's one of the things I really appreciate about this game, and about old Megaten in general. They were kind of just throwing everything at the wall and seeing what stuck. And I kind of miss that about the series. Doesn't help that the last time they did that was with, probably with Soul Hackers 2, and it didn't really work out well, so I probably not going to do that anytime soon. Anyways, we're at the shop. Let's see what we're going to buy. We're going to buy high leg armor, rivet knuckle, and the western boot. I'm translating this directly from Japanese, so if it sounds funny, it's because it is. Nothing screams post-apocalypse like lavender walls. At that point, you might as well just... Like, you've lost so much, you might as well just paint the walls a color that suits you. Supposedly, lavender is supposed to be soothing or something, right? I know it. You know what? You know what? Lavender smell though. It attracts mosquitoes. It has nothing to do with the color. I'm not sure why I'm speaking as though these are correlated at all. But it attracts mosquitoes, so we can't confirm if the color wouldn't attract them either. And the last thing I want to have to deal with in a post-apocalyptic world where everything's already horrible anyways, would be mosquitoes, and you know they'd survive. Anyways, we're proceeding into the game. There you go, we got the aquamarine. That's the gem that we exchange at Rags. I guess I'll explain Rags, I'll explain it now, and then I kinda don't have to explain it for SMT1. No, I'm just kidding, I'll explain it again for SMT1. Also, can we just talk about how inconvenient those, like, holes in the ceiling and then a ladder, like, that's just not a... I feel like you should just make stairs like that. That's a very questionable way to have stairs and to build your building around it. But anyways, the Rags is a store where we exchange gems like aquamarine, emeralds, diamonds for items. And we exchange one for a pentagram, I'm pretty sure. And this man that we just talked to is the reason why you get soft locked if you don't get the heroin. Because basically that man wants a massage specifically from a woman. And in exchange for that, he gives you the water tower, which is the ticket to get through the guy, the avatar turtle. But if you don't have a woman in your party, you just can't get the water tower and you get soft locked. You just get honest to God soft locked. And this is the kind of thing that you just don't get in modern games where like the game devs are so respectful of players and they won't force you to restart your 2-hour playthrough because you said no to to the witch. But back in the day, they did not care. So you would have had to restart. There was no way around it. So yeah, now we have the water tally, so we can leave this continent and go on to the next one. This is the Ginza general area. Okay, we're just saving, bookmarking, well, not even saving, we're bookmarking the terminal. In this game, the terminals are just totem poles that you kind of communicate with each other. That way we can just get in between areas. And this is the Ginza underpass. And the Ginza underpass is very big, and this is kind of where the game opens up. In this game, to proceed to the end, for now all we know is that we have to fight Pazuzu. That's all we know in the game. So we have to get to wherever Pazuzu is, which, for all we know, is... where is Pazuzu? In Shinjuku. It's in Shinjuku. So we know we have to get to Shinjuku to fight Pazuzu. That's kind of all we know, and we have no actual idea of how to enter Shinjuku because Shinjuku is protected by a barrier. And you can get to Shinjuku through the Ginza underpass, but the barrier. So we have to find a way of destroying the barrier. And you can go into various locations from here to try and figure out how to do it. We also will need to collect these items called the pillars, which will open a gate to the demon world. Because of another glitch, we won't actually be able to collect all of them, but this is something that, if you're just playing the game casually, now this is where your main objectives kind of appear, which is defeating Pazuzu and collecting the pillars. You talk to an NPC that implies what the pillars actually do. You'll just start collecting them, you don't really know what to do for a while. But this is what you have to do. But anyways, the Ginza underpass, where does it take you? It can take you to Korakuen, which is where one of the pillars is. It can take you, like, you can go to this corridor and see a petrified Atlas, which we'll try to get later. That same corridor leads to a scientist that's just kind of doing whatever. You can go into the Suzuki Corporation, which is this corporation that's kind of running everything in the post-apocalyptic world, which we'll get to later. You can go to Ueno, and you can go into this one corridor that I'm actually not sure where it leads you, but you fight Tiamat there. And we will not be doing that, because Tiamat is a really strong fight. Not as strong as in SMT5 Vengeance, but it is a pretty strong fight for our current level. So first we have to fight Basilisk, because Basilisk is kind of just on the way. It's a very quick fight because our heroine is very strong, and we bought some stones, some akiyabo stones and some buffalo stones, and these stones, their effect is heightened by your wisdom stat. So because the heroine is so smart, every time she throws a stone, it destroys all the boss fights, and will continue to do so for a while. So we get through Basilisk pretty quickly. I'm pretty sure our next objective is to just find a way to unpetrify Atlas, because Atlas will be another demon that will be quite high level for our current level, and he will just join you if you unpetrify him? I guess, is that how you say it? You unstone him. Oh, there you go, there's Atlas. And in this game, you don't actually have a limitation on the level of the player for when you're summoning a demon. You'll just pay the price, and as long as it's in your comp, you can summon it. You won't be able to fuse demons that are higher than your level, but if they just join you, then you can summon them no problem. Which lets us, well, get some pretty strong demons early on that we wouldn't have been able to get otherwise. So this is the general Shinjuku area. Just saving here, that way we can access this terminal later. As of now, we can still very reliable escape from random encounters, which is very useful. As you can see, just by Atlas's health is considerably higher leveled. And now we're going to be hunting for some cockatrices. And I think that it's just for a level. Oh, there's one. We're gonna keep talking to it so it summons more of it. Oh, it ran away. Well, it can run away. But most of the time when you talk to it, it will just get offended and summon more friends. And we're aiming to fight at least 5 or 6 in order to get a bunch of EXP. Okay, I had to check if it was EXP or money, but it is EXP. Because we want the heroine to learn... What is this one? I guess it would be Zionga? Yeah, I guess it would be Zionga. Just translating the name from Japanese, and they've changed quite a lot throughout the years, so it can be a bit confusing at times when you're seeing the name in Japanese. Try and guess what's the current day equivalent. Okay, that's 4 of them. That's 5. For those that aren't familiar with the old style battle UI, the demon icons at the top mean how many enemies you're fighting against, since they would actually only put the icon for one demon and the sprite for one demon and the icons to signify how many of them you're actually fighting. Alright, that's 6, that's really good. We reached level 25. Jumped a lot of levels, as you can see just by this point assignments. Or Yumiko is almost maxing out her wisdom, which is insane, and we put some points into agility for good measure just to make sure we can run away from those pesky random encounters in the overworld. This, like, having a spell is also, like, Zyonga is very useful in this game, not only because it's really strong. Magic spells in general are really strong in this game, especially when you have a heroine that's very smart. But also, it can stun the boss fights. So right now we're going to fight Vatala, because this guy is very offended that we're not intimidated by his demons. We just one-shot him by using Mammon. And so as I was saying, like, you can just stun boss fights and do a lot of damage in the process, and it just makes it so they can't hit you until they start outspeeding you, of course. That's still a while from now. Yeah, because this isn't actually, like, yeah, this isn't Zyonga, this is Maz Zyonga, I guess, because this is AoE. Yeah, it is Maz Zyonga. So it's extra useful. Okay, so now we're going to talk to Mammon, who's just kind of living in this cave and blocking the way to the next part of the continent. And he wants us to bring him Pazuzu's head. Which kind of brings back to the fact that we had to go and fight Pazuzu anyways. So we're just gonna go and do that. And he actually gives us a way to destroy the barrier that's blocking Shinjuku. And he gives us, I think it's Bile's claws. Check my notes. I took a note of all the items. Korakuen, Earth Tally. Right, we got the Earth Tally, which is the next ticket that we need to get to ride the turtle. By when we defeated Vatala. Bile's nails. I guess the nails claws, I mean, kind of the same thing. Well, and before we go to Shinjuku, we're actually gonna go through Ikebukuro, which is this really big dungeon. But you don't really go through it you don't go through a lot of it most of the time. It's a very confusing dungeon. We just go straight to the boss fight on the second floor, because we need to get 2 items from him: Solomon's ring and the inverted cross. The inverted cross lets us fight another fight that we'll need to get a pillar, one of the pillars that we'll actually need. And Solomon's ring has a purpose, surely. I just don't recall it off the top of my head, but it has a purpose. So this is Apollyon, which is a demon that doesn't show up in a lot of games. But he will die pretty quickly because we have Bufula stones, which are still very strong, and we have Atlas, which does a lot of damage. So we're just using Rakukaja, attacking physically, and using magic with the heroine and Atlas. Okay, now we're switching to attacking with Atlas, and there you go. He fell. So the next step is to go to Ueno, where we're gonna walk into the cult, and we'll use the inverted cross in there to talk to Leonard, and who has the Mercury pillar, or it's Jupiter? The Jupiter pillar, which is another pillar that we need. But before we do that, we're still gonna have to do a couple more things. Well, first of all, we need to get Naga to join us, which is another demon. That will be very useful. And we need to do some fusions. As well as stock up on some items. Beautiful teleport animation. If you've played SMT2, you can really see how heavily inspired it is in MT2. In a way, it's almost like the story is quite different, but it's also not that much. It's almost repackaged. A lot of the pacing is very similar. The things you need to get, the fact that you go from the real world to then to the demon world. The games have very similar energies, I would say. Whereas I would say that SMT1 feels completely different from MT1. Those are not similar at all. So it's interesting that they decided to almost reimagine MT2 as SMT2. Is there going to be some heavy glitching coming up? Has already happened. The heavy glitching is later into the run. Well, it's not very heavy, as in the game won't get like distorted or we're gonna go out of bounds or anything. But we will wrong warp. That's one of the glitches that this game has. Aside from the autopilot glitch, which we're constantly doing every dungeon. There is a wrong warp that lets us warp to one of the later dungeons in the demon world, letting us not collect two of the pillars as well as go through two dungeons in Makai. One of which I'm pretty sure is in one of the areas riddled with level drain demons. This part covered in lava that we were seeing there for a second, that's the demon world. This is just one of the ways that you can get there for now, but as you can see, you can only like stay this very tiny island. There we're just going there to get Naga to join us. Now we're stocking up on Buffalo Stones and Agilao Stones. But yeah, this run uses the Astroph Wrong Warp, which involves going to Shibuya again, which is that place where the old man needed the heroine to massage him. And there's a boss fight there that we didn't do. Did we warp using the Hachiko statue? Yes. If you walk around the Hachiko statue clockwise like 5 times, you warp into the demon world. Also happens in real life. And then if you walk backwards in the demon world, that's how you come back. Don't forget that part, otherwise we suck. But yeah, Ashraf Castle. Basically, the fight that we didn't do in Shibuya is a fight that you have to have at least 7 intelligence in the main character to be able to do, and we purposely don't give him enough intelligence so that we can execute this wrong warp. And I'm not 100% sure on how it works. All I know is that if you don't have 7 intelligence, you can just get kicked out of the fight because you're not smart enough to see through his hypnosis. And there's like in the dungeon, there's like a lady at the counter that lets you go into the area where the boss fight is. So you go through her, you talk to the fight, and you get kicked out. And then you use Tresto, which puts you back at the beginning of the dungeon. And I guess something doesn't go well. Like something about repositioning you at the beginning of the dungeon after you are inside of that area just doesn't go well, because once you talk to the lady again, the game thinks that you're in a completely different dungeon and warps you to Ashraf's castle, and then you're in the demon world. This is, in a way, this is not so different from the Triesto glitch in SMT2, which is another glitch that uses Triesto, and how it works is that every time you're in a tile where there's a character that you can talk to, if you use Triesto instead of warping, and you have to be, I think it specifically only happens in the disco. No, it's not specifically. It's literally in any tile where there's a pop-up with text, not just a character, but any pop-up like an earthquake. If you use Triesto, instead of it warping you to the beginning of the dungeon, it just moves you one tile backwards. But if there's a wall behind you, because all the maps are loaded as a bitmap, which would just walk into another dungeon, any other dungeon, whatever is behind it in the map. So the SMT 20%, the current one and the old one, use a Triesto glitch to get between the dungeons and do as little as possible. With the current SMT 20% route, it really isn't a lot. The emphasis is in as little as possible. And there is yet another glitch that's not used in Akiyabo's route, which is the demon, whatever they call it, the demon lord's castle glitch. And that one I cannot explain because I've read about it, but I've never actually seen it in action. So I'm not actually quite sure how it's done. And it seems very hard to execute because it depends on, I think it relies on just arbitrary code execution. So you have to arrange your item bag in a very specific way. So that's probably why it's not included in the route. It would be too unreliable for RTA. Okay, now we're going back to the Ginza underpass. When you see this beautiful blue floor with snazzy music, that's when you know it's the Ginza underpass. And now we're in Ueno. This is a place with the cult. You can probably see from the pentagram there. We're just quickly gonna warp to the demon world. Did we get the Hinokagutsushi already? Honestly, did we get the Hinokagutsushi already? So in this game, you warp to the demon world and there's just a Hinokagutsushi standing there. And if you're strong enough, you can pull it out of the rock. It's kind of like in SMTF. But I wasn't sure you got it already. Did you actually get it already? Anyways, as I said, we have to do some fusing. So we're gonna be fusing for now. I think now is when we fuse Undyne, which we will need for story purposes. Not just because it's a cool demon. That's not Undyne. But yeah, there you go, Undyne. We need her to get an item in the demon world to be able to access the last dungeon. And also, it's a pretty useful demon, all things considered. Undyne. I'm pretty sure she has like recard. The notes don't mention anything about the sword. Is it actually the Hinokagutsushi? We'll never know. We'll just never know. Place your bets. I couldn't read the text quickly enough, so we'll never know. So here to fight Leonard, we have to enter the little pentagram at full moon. That's when the Sabbath happens. And now we fight it. There you go. Nice and quick fight. Not even difficult. We are fairly strong at this point. In these older games, we always kind of go for a glass cannon build. Really high attack or really high magic. Not at all balanced stats. Your vitality is always super low. So you have to rely on armor to try and dampen the damage. But you hit very hard. Yeah, the OST is great in this game. Right, now we're finally fighting Tiamat. Looks a little different from the design in SMT5 Vengeance. The strategy here is just attacking with everyone except for Yumiko. Ooh, Dwarf is dead. Well, it happens. Yumiko will use Buffalo Stones. And that's kind of all she has to do. If the Buffalo Stones hit, the Tiamat gets stunned, so nobody dies. And it should die pretty quickly, but we need to not get outsped and it needs to land. So there you go. Awesome. So this berry that you saw was the one that we can break with the item that Mammon gave us, the Bio's nails or Bio's claws, and now we can enter Shinjuku. So now we are successfully on our way to kill Pazuzu. Make sure we settle what we started back at the Haneda shelter and bring his head back to Mammon. Now in this dungeon, we need to recruit Koansha. That will have to fuse into Kyuchu Lane, also known as Chuchu Lane, Kufrin, as well as many other names. But you know, it's a strong demon. And one that will help us defeat Pazuzu, because Pazuzu is already quite a difficult fight, so level 50. Choo-choo train, exactly, choo-choo train, how could I forget that one? This is Koansha. It always looks like just a skeleton in every game. The skeleton might change, but... the look of the skeleton might change, but the skeleton remains. Summoning Undyne. Alright, now we're gonna do the fusion. First we're gonna have to kill back Dwarf. Now Atlas and Koansha. There it is. Kufrin. Hope everyone enjoys the blind dungeons. There will be quite a few floors like this. There's an entire dungeon like this where you just can't really see anything. For those that watched the SMT if run earlier, you're probably familiar with these dark rooms. In if PSX, they're physically easy to navigate from what I recall, but in this game they were actually quite difficult, especially without bumping into any walls. You really need to know where you're going. And of course in SMT1 after this run, you'll get to see who in the race can do the Cathedral B4F without bumping into any walls. Oh no, it's our friend! I can't believe we're trying to fight Pazuzu and then our friend just pulls up and summons Orpheus, and we have to kill our previous Orpheus that he stole, and then he leaves! We don't even get our Orpheus back. He just throws us our Orpheus that we raised and gave birth to, and then we have to kill it. Very quickly too, and then we fight Pazuzu. So for Pazuzu we're gonna use Bufula with Yumiko, Tarokaja, you know what Tarokaja does. That's one of the spells that Kufumi has, then we're gonna switch to attacking with it. Undyne has Mireirama to heal everyone. And after we set up for a bit, we're just gonna keep attacking. For most fights, we will try to just set up to then switch into autoing, because that's just by far the fastest way of finishing the fights, even if we're not technically doing as much damage per turn. And there you go, that was Pazuzu. We grab his head, and we'll have to bring back to Mammon to be able to proceed into the game. And we leave. We also get Mars Pillar, by the way, another of the pillars that we need. This one we can't just get anyways, I mean, we need his head. So we're gonna heal up our party for a bit. We need to do some shopping now. We need to get some new armor and boots, because our armor is starting to get a little outdated for this section of the run. And then we're gonna have to grind for some money. Up to 10k. Thankfully, these enemies actually drop quite a bit of money, so we shouldn't have to be here for long. Oh, that's a lot of them. 8 enemies. The maximum that you can get. Alright, and we're out of here. Saving. Saving was always so quick in these games. And honestly, it's already pretty cool that this game even had battery saves. Because MT1 still had passwords. It certainly makes the speedrun more feasible. Alright, we'll go back to Mammon's gates and give him the Pazuzu's head, and he really isn't happy about it for some reason. He's like, oh cool, I can't believe you killed Pazuzu. You're dangerous, I have to kill you. So we have to fight him now. And Mammon is not much stronger than Pazuzu at all. In fact, his spells are much weaker. So we don't have much to worry about. He'll go down in 2 turns. There he goes. And now that Mammon is gone, we can cross the cave that he was protecting and actually get to the other side of the continent. And on the other side of this continent, we have another little passage that we have to go through, but we already have the ticket, so we can go through it, no problem. And on the next continent is where Bio's castle is. That was Pyrojack, by the way. Pyrojack in this game is an actual pumpkin. I wish they'd bring back that design. And now we go to one of the first dungeons that we'll have to go through in this area. This is the one that's the blind dungeon. It's called Nishiarai Daishi's Illusion Realm. And there's just a Venus pillar here that we really need to get. It's a pretty standard dungeon. We'll fight Vritra at the end of it. But not much going on here except a bunch of blind sections. We do need to grind in this section. We have to get to level 33, which is why we're not just using the autopilot glitch to get rid of all the encounters. Ooh, a bonk. And there you go, there's Vritra. Another victim of the Buffalo Stone. Oh, sorry, not Buffalo Stone, the Buffalo Spell. And there you go. We are level 33. Now, after defeating it, and we have the Venus pillar. So we can head to the next one. Alright, we have to temporarily come back here to Ginza because we need to fuse Papilsag. Papilsag is just an amazing demon in this dungeon. No, it's not in this game. It's a recommended demon for everyone that wants to play this casually afterwards. There is an English patch for those interested, so you can actually play this game in English. And it is allowed on the boards for anyone that might think of running this, so you can easily do runs in English if you would prefer. We have not timed any differences, so we aren't quite sure if it's slower. It's likely that it is, at least a very at least to some degree, but it is allowed on the boards. The totem pole with animal heads is what becomes the Amala network station. Yes, it is the terminal where you teleport. I'm pretty sure in the remake they made it into a computer, which I guess kind of makes a bit more sense. But I like the totem poles. There is Papilsag, or goat. I like the animal head totem pole back, to be honest. I know, right? You're missing out. Why would they put that in metaphor? Actually, I haven't played metaphor, so I have no idea if it has some kind of totem pole transportation system. It could, for all I know. Is the remake faithful to the original, the Shin Megami Tensei 2? I would say so. they've updated the sprites. They remastered the music. Some people really prefer the original music, but I feel like both are good. I don't feel like the remade music is any worse. And they added some quality of life features. They unfortunately removed the autopilot bug. They removed the autopilot functionality completely. But the remake's pretty good. Next we're gonna head to the next challenge dungeon. This is one where there's just a lot of trap tiles. But other than that, you just head through it, you grab one of the pillars and you head out, and that's all you need to do. The remake changed the still teleport to into a generic terminal though, right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it did. So I guess it's not completely faithful. Because it is... Some would argue that's a pretty big change. It's okay, they kept the encounter rate. True! So true. Here we go. Just gonna enter a dragon's mouth. Or is this a dragon? I don't even know. Why are there so many turtles in this area? Anyways, banger. For the few seconds that we get to listen to it, the song's pretty good. We're gonna use a core shield to protect us from the trap tiles, so it's kinda nullifies most of the danger of this dungeon. Finally used for magnetites. Yeah. In this game, the demons need it to survive. They'll just keep consuming it as you walk around. So now we're back to using the autopilot bug, so we'll thankfully not get any more encounters. I remember when I played this game, this was one of the dungeons that really frustrated me because the encounter rate's so high, and all the demons start getting very annoying to defeat. Ouch. And there we go, we leave. We're gonna just go straight to Bile's castle. Why not Magneton or Magnezone? You say that, I had to stop myself because I was going to read that as Magnemite. I was like, no, wait, that's a Pokemon. So this is Bios Castle, which is a great dungeon. We don't get any encounters. As are most of the dungeons in this game. When you remove the encounters, they really start getting interesting. It's also why SMT1 is such a good game. Because when you remove the encounters, the dungeons are pretty fun. So as you might imagine, we are here to defeat Bile. He's one of the demon awards after all. And then after this, we'll just have to find a way to get to the demon world to defeat the rest of the demon awards. When Muskie played the remake, he was very frustrated about certain things. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. This game has... Oh my god, it's the friend again! And he sends another demon. It's Furetti. Oh, I remember Furetti. That's one of the demons that I took forever to find in my SMT1 Kill 'Em All run. Anyways, Furetti is there. And then... Cottage? It's like Spartoi. I'm not gonna keep translating these names. Just, we're fighting a lot of demons, just take my word for it. He's a devil summoner. Now that we got through him, we can get to Bile actually. You just lost all the time. The game is definitely quite confusing. Oh, our friend is dead. Well, and there's Bio. How do you like this design? I think this is one of the coolest boss designs in this game. So right, for this fight, we're gonna set up first. We have to ruin the entire Ukaju. Keep our health up with Undyne that still has Diorama, and we're gonna use Bufua with the heroine. Set up for one more turn. I was confirming in my head if it was Bufudan or Bufua. Yeah, just like SMT2. In both of these games, you have to talk to a lot of NPCs and really note down what people say to know where to go. If you just kind of don't talk to people or ignore them. In SMT2, if you don't go to like the bars and talk to the characters, you just will not know what to do. Oh, there you go, he died. And this is an important part. He gets turned into a frog, Bio, that is. And we have to not kill the frog. Because this is one of the things that allows us to get the good ending. There are multiple triggers that lock you out of good ending. One of them is not getting the witch to join, but that locks you out of finishing the game in general, so that one's kind of a given. We need to get the frog. We need to get a certain demon layer to join. I guess I won't say exactly which one because I don't want to spoil it. And we need to fuse Bile into Baal. Anyways, we got Bile, which means that this is the last thing that we really needed from this world. So now we're going to do the other glitch. The actual wrong warp glitch. What we're going to do is we're going to head to Shibuya, and we're going to try and... I guess I'll try to re-explain the glitch. We're going to try and enter the fight with Balam, but we'll be too stupid to fight him. So his hypnosis works on us. And then we'll try Esto. And then the game will really not like that. And we'll get wrong warped. Funny story, Sparta once kept calling for help in a 5-star or 5 until I could escape him when we skipped a part of the fight. That's funny. That's funny that they don't have like a filter there. They just let you escape it. Guess we're gonna stock up on items first before we head to the Demon World. The Demon World is where the overworld random encounters really start to get dangerous. So, hopefully we won't see much suffering. But reliable sources have told me that this is where the game starts to really get painful. So this is the woman at the counter that will then take you to Astrov's castle, because the game just assumes you're in a different dungeon when you use Tresto. So you get kicked out of the fight, use Tresto, back to the beginning of the dungeon, walk back to the counter, and I'm pretty sure that's it. I'm pretty sure we've already warped. Now we're just in a completely different dungeon. Much later into the area. Into the game. Into the area of the game. There you go. You can probably see by the look of it that this looks like a different place. And from here we go straight into fighting Astrov. Since we're here already and we have to fight Astrov anyways. We just go and fight it. So one of the items that we got from Bile was the Grief Orb, and these orbs let you take this... I think it's a boat. I'm actually not sure if it's a boat or if it's a terminal, but it lets you warp around between the areas in the Demon World. So that's one of the items that we actually need to be able to get around Makai, because we still need to do some of the dungeons to enter the last dungeon. and actually getting to the good ending. So I know that for you to not get like worked back to the world, the heroine needs to be dead. So the heroine dying there was intentional, but I'm not sure why. You just have to believe. You just have to believe Akiyabo's notes in that this is a requirement. And this is the sleeping village. We'll come here later. We're coming up on the dungeon that needs Undyne. The reason why one of the reasons why we fused her in the first place. Because she'll be able to get one of the orbs for us. Do a save. Is the difficulty scaling sharp like that? Yes. The difficulty in this game just really spikes out of nowhere. Well, not out of nowhere, but like it's never very progressive. It's like you're doing fine and all of a sudden the enemies are just 15 levels higher than you. It's in various points when you reach the underpass. In Shinjuku. Here in Makai. Here in Makai is the worst one. You'll see it. You'll see it with the random encounters. Of how long it'll start taking to defeat them. Ah, this area. I just remember dying in this area all the time. And that was not as low level as Akiyabo is right now. This is a transportation method that I mentioned that you need the orbs for. There is one that will then ask you which location you want to go to, and depending on which orbs you have, you can access different ones. You can see the little Hachiko statue right there, the one that we used earlier to get that. Not it wasn't the Hinokawa Tsuchi. You know, I'm pretty sure because I'm reading about it. It's a cursed item, which is why I've been cursed this entire time. But it's a pretty good sword. The Nihil sword, that's what it was. On the way we also got this pretty strong demon called Sword Knight, which I was joking, but we got Sword Knight, and Sword Knight is very high leveled. Has 700 HP as you can see, so he will make getting through these dungeons at least a lot safer. Are 742 hit points necessary? Yes. You can never have too many. Now we've executed the glitch again, so we can safely walk through this dungeon. If my memory serves me right, this is the one with the Hydras. Maybe not. Maybe it's not the one with the Hydras. I've played this a while ago, so like I remember every dungeon, but I don't remember which one it was in the map. It doesn't help that I played KMT2 and not MT2, so the look of them is also different. Aha, the Hydras. I knew it. So here we just fight 8 Hydras. That's just a boss fight of this dungeon. So they will die very quickly. We use Agidai and Zeodai, which is like Zeodai and Agidai, and they die. Hydras are really not strong compared to most other demons at this point of the game. And now Undyne asks us if we want her to go down this lake and grab and see if she can find something, and we do, and we just say that we want to wait for her. and she finds the tidal orb, which will let us access another area of Makai that we need to go to. Dresto, out of here. Set the autopilot location for the next dungeon. And we have to recruit this guy. I have to look up his name in English. It's one of those that I don't think shows up in a lot of games. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. Yep. Ubelris. Shows up in MT2, KMT, SMT2, SMTF, SMT9, SMT Imagine, Persona 1, Persona 3, Fez, which will be later into the marathon. Make sure to watch it, so you might see Ubelris. You wouldn't want to miss that. Oh, that's Asmodeus. So we went into this dungeon to fight Asmodeus. Kinda got distracted with Ubelris. We come in here to rescue Izanagi, which we need to rescue in order to enter Lucifer's castle, and to get another orb that lets us get around the demon world. And Ubelris has Racunda, so now we can actually properly debuff boss fights all the while using Tarakaja and actually do some proper damage. Or make up for a low level. There's Izanagi. We return Kyuchu Lane. Summon Papilsag, who has Tresto. Get an encounter on the way out. So where are we headed next? What else do we still need to do? Defeat Asmodeus. We have to go to Belial's castle. Certainly defeat Belial. That's probably the next goal. We have the tidal orb, so we can just bypass the wall of flames. These are flames, by the way. And enter Belial's castle. Another great dungeon that is vastly improved by not having random encounters. Because that's another one that I remember really losing my mind in because of the encounter rate. You'd think, given that there's not that many door transitions, that it wouldn't be terrible. But it's more than it looks. Like the usual strat, we're going to attack with Sword Knights and the main character, use Bufudan with Yumiko, then Rakunda, Rakukaja, and Tarukaja. And now it's probably dealt enough damage we've set up so we can just switch to autoing and tanking the hits. And we should win pretty quickly. There you go. Easy. I remember being level 45 in this area and then being level 44, then being level 45, and then being back to level 43, and then being level 45. It was a good time. This game is good, I recommend everyone play it. It's definitely one of my favorite Megami Tensei games. And especially now that you know about the autopilot bug, if you want to play this version, I recommend you use it. I know I will. If I ever learn any categories of this game, it's this one. Now there's one more item that we have to buy around here called the Gorgeous set. This is required to access the last area. Just a key item that you have to buy. It's these things that make this game quite difficult to navigate without a guide or something. You'll realize what you have to do, but you'll end up having to backtrack quite a bit. S-Guy was a victim of MT2 without autopilot bug. And now he doesn't like MT2. Don't let that become yourself. Don't make yourself suffer through MT2 without the autopilot bug. If you will, at least do KMT2, in which you don't have the bug, so you don't have much of a chance at that point. So here's the item that we have to buy, the Gorgeous set. Now I think we'll just head right back, yeah. We just trap-port to go back to the last save, and now we're going to Ginza probably to fuse. Ginza has a very reliably close fusion mention. I assume, otherwise I actually have no idea what we're doing in Ginza. So we're both gonna find out together. Oh, maybe we're just warping back to Astrov's castle. Because we haven't fought Astrov yet. This might be a route change. Because it's certainly not in Akiyabo's old notes. Now we're just stocking up on items, buying a bunch more Bufo stones. Yeah, I guess we're just warping back to Astrov's castle. So, we'll do the same. Walk into the fight. We're still not smart enough to fight it. Then we Tresto. With Papil Sag. Walk back into the boss fight area. And then before you know it, we're just in Astrov's castle. Who are we letting go of? Undyne! No! Oh, poor Undyne. Goodbye, Undyne, you served us so well. Yep, there's Astrov. We're finally gonna fight him. We've stocked up on Buffalo stones. Then we're just gonna use our usual strategy of Tarukaja, Rakukaja, Rakunda. Stun him with Bufuda and attack with our protagonist. So now that we've defeated Astroth, we get the... wait, which one was it? We get one of the orbs. So now we need to go and still fuse Bao. And we already have the Gorgeous set, so we'll be able to get through the Fly Village, no problem. And enter Beelzebub's dungeon to go fuse it with Bao. To go fuse it into Bao, is what I meant. So this is the Fly Village. We're setting our autopilot location here. And heading into Beelzebub's castle to do what I mentioned. And at this area you do have to navigate blindly, which is I always found very funny. They were like, we don't have enough blind rooms in this game, let's just make a blind overworld as well. But you know, it's Makai, which is a weird place anyways, so it's not even the weirdest thing. And this is Beelzebub. And now we have fused Baal, which is another requirement for the good ending. And with this done, we can head into Lucifer's castle. Oh my god, who are we letting go of? No, not Papilsag! How could you do that to Papilsag? Our friend. Oh right, the heroine has stress now. Right, we don't care about Papilsag anymore. So Baal is very strong, which is good because the fights coming up are quite difficult. We are coming up on the end of the game. What we have to do now is actually have to transfer to Shinjuku to head to Lucifer's castle. We're going to this giant Buddha statue, and from there we can drop directly to the parts of Makai which has Lucifer's castle. It's much safer than navigating through Makai, as you might imagine, because you can safely run away from every random encounter in this area. Of course, a wyvern right in front of the dungeon. So now we're in Lucifer's castle. We're gonna climb all the way up to go and see Lucifer. Because we've rescued Izanagi earlier, Izanagi can actually take us to the other part of the dungeon. So first you have to, you go through, are we dungeoning? We are dungeoning. So first you go to the giant Buddha statue, which drops us into the first part of Lucifer's castle. And then, because we've rescued Izanagi, we go to Izanagi's, what do you call that? Shrine? And Izanagi takes us to the rest of the castle. What else is there? Not much. Now we'll just dungeon our way through the dungeon until Lucifer. And here is Lucifer. And the thing is, normally you would have to fight Lucifer, but because we have Baal, Lucifer asks about our cause, like, what are we doing? And we're like, we have to defeat the true evil, which is something to do with the Suzuki Corporation or something. So he's like, oh, okay, I'll join you then. And now we're just gonna go and get Masakazu's helmet, probably, before heading to the actual last part of the game. So you might recognize this place. This is the Ginza underpass. And that's because, remember a lot earlier when I mentioned that the Ginza underpass had a lot of exits, and one of the exits was the Suzuki Corporation. That's where we're headed now. The last part of the game. The last dungeon in the game. By talking to one of the soldiers, we get this card. So we could access this area earlier, but we couldn't actually proceed further into the game. We needed to get Lucifer. Or... actually, I'm not sure. I don't think you need Lucifer, but you need to be done with Makai. So either have Lucifer with you or defeat him. This is Asura, which we'll see very soon in the next game coming up after this. But here we don't actually fight Asura. Asura sees Lucifer and Baal and just trusts us. We arrange the party for the fights coming up. And first of all, we have to fight Belphegor, who's protecting one of the true culprits. So, this fight is pretty standard to the same strategy that we've been doing so far. Our main guy and Sword Knight attack physically. Yumiko is stunning the boss fights with the Buffalo Stones. We're using Rakunda with Ubelris and using Tarukaja and Rakukaja. Now we do have Bao in our group, which attacks, well, usually attacks pretty strongly, unless he's paralyzed, which he just got paralyzed, so for the most part he's useful. And Belphegor still doesn't have that much HP, so he will fall pretty quickly, but the next two fights are where it starts getting a bit sketchier. But it should go well. It'll be okay. So now we find out that the leader of the Suzuki Corporation was actually Satan, and we get thrown straight into this fight with Satan. The strategy is the same. First of all, we're going to just heal with Baal, who has a Midiarahan, and we're going to set up with Rakunda Rakukaja, and stun with Buffalo Stones, and then just attack physically. We'll switch to auto as soon as we're done using Rakunda, Terunda, and Rakukaja. I'll try to explain the strategy as quickly as possible so we can enjoy this great song. It's one of my favorite songs, if not my favorite song of the game. Also, the curse status is fun. All that curse do is that it deals damage every time you walk. Panic isn't great. It can lead you to not be able to attack for a turn. It's a coin flip. Ooh. Main guy's dead. That's not great. We use Samurai Karm with Bao. This is one of the reasons why Baal is so useful, really good healing spells. Back to Waterwind. There you go. And we got Satan. Surely this is the last boss fight, right? But wait. There's more. There is a corridor past Satan's office. And now we have some kind of godly voice talking to us, telling us that we went too far and we questioned the decisions of God. So, that wasn't the last boss fight, as you might imagine. This is the last boss fight. So we'll choose to not follow Yahweh's orders, which would, if we follow his orders, we get the bad ending, and if we defy him, we attempt to get the good ending. Yahweh has a lot of health, so we'll be doing the same strategy, and just hoping for the best that he doesn't like us. So, Sword Knight unfortunately died. So we're gonna summon Kyuchu Lane. And hopefully put it in front of Yumiko so she's not as in danger of getting hit. Actually we don't, we'll just roll with it, that's fine. Yahweh unfortunately is also aware of the freeze strategy, so he likes to use that on us instead, which is really not as fun when you're the victim of it. But now we're just gonna keep using Rukunda Tarukaja, Kyucho and has Tarukaja, so we can actually set up a bit more now, and then switch back to Auto Wing. Fortunately, Kyucho has also died, RAP. If we don't get frozen for too long, this should be good. We might have to stop to heal, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't even stop to heal. Now it's just an endurance battle between us and God. And we won. And we defeated Yahweh. And with that, we have destroyed the reign of demons and the reign of the Suzuki Corporation, and we get cursed for all eternity. But a new sunrise can rise in the future, and we can take hold of our destiny once again. GG. So that was MT2. This game times with JRTA, so the time will end at the end of credits. In case you're wondering why the timer hasn't ended yet, I didn't forget to press the button. Also, I've just realized that I forgot to add my name as a commentator, so I've just been a mysterious voice for those that don't know me. And I think I'll just stay that way. I'm just a mysterious Megami Tensei 2 commentator. Anyways, this was a really good run. This was a really good run for a marathon run. There were no deaths. Makai went really well. All the grinds were really, really quick. So a very, very impressive run. This run is really difficult. Effectively getting through the grind, through the boss fights, the recruits, and not dying at any point is really difficult. And can't overstate just how good Akiyabo is at this game. There's a reason why he has and has had all the records for this game for a very long time. Not to mention that he came up with, he optimized this route and managed to route in the Astaroth warp into the game. So shout out to him. And shout out to the entire Japanese community, which a lot of the times does incredible work in routing and discovering new strats and glitches. For this marathon, Akiyabo-san has been the only Japanese runner, but there are many very talented Japanese runners, so I recommend you all follow them and follow their work. So now for the credits, we get introduced to all the characters, including Men in Shibuya, that soft walks you, and the reception for Balam, the queen of this run, the one that lets you warp to Astaroth. Shoutouts to her. Mr. Saigo. Oh, this is the sword that we actually got, the Nihil sword. It was not the Hinokage Tsuchi. We don't actually get the Hinokage Tsuchi. The doctor that gives us the item to unpetrify Atlas. Apollyon, we can never forget Apollyon. Mouth of Devil, which we don't do. We skip the Mouth of Devil, that's where you get one of the pillars that we don't have to get because we just warp to Astaroth's castle. It's one of my favorite parts of this game because when you try to reach into, to try and get the pillar that's inside of the mouth of that statue, it eats your arm, so you get status effect no arm, and you have to go and get a metallic arm from a scientist. Squatting any times to run is that an accident? It's RTA rules. So yeah, so it's unfortunate that we don't see no arm in this game, one of the most iconic status effects in Megaten. We get to see Bile as a frog too. Ground Zero. Masakado, we all love Masakado. Friended, I love Friended. Sword Knight, one of the goats. A start, a great romanization of Astaroth. Beelzebub. Lucifer. Kiriaku is great. But yeah, I guess I should say, for all those of you who are watching, I hope you keep enjoying the SMT Marathon. There's many amazing runs coming up, including the SMT1 race right after this. If you're interested in running this game or any other Megami Tensei games, please join the Discord server. We can help you with any game. We have very extensive resources spreadsheet now that can lead you to basically any guides and video guides or resource sheet. And yeah, this game definitely needs more love. Is it now? I think it's now. I'm not sure if it's at the end of the song or if it's when end fully appears. So I just took a wild guess. So yeah, that was it. Thank you so much for watching. This was an amazing run, and we'll be coming up with SMT1 right after this. So please stay tuned.